Monday Night Raw tonight takes place once again in the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, inside the WWE Thunderdome. Now, I must say, this is a Monday Night Raw preview video, and we're going to discuss some of the things we might expect to see tonight, some of the matches, some of the storylines as we head into Clash of Champions at the end of this month of September. But at the time of recording, it is currently nearly 7:30 p.m. over here in the United Kingdom, so that's 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time in America. As of right now, there has been pretty much nothing announced officially for tonight's Monday Night Raw. Now, I don't know what that means. We've heard some stories over the last few weeks about Monday Night Raw. The script is finalized, and then Vince McMahon shows up at 7 p.m. and decides, I don't like this, rips it all up, and then they're basically writing as they go on the air. That story, to me, at this point, I don't know if it's always a story, right? It's always a story to hear that Vince McMahon's ripped up the script and done rewrites for Monday Night Raw as they're on the air or as they're about to go on the air. Although, when it happens every week, it becomes less and less of a story, doesn't it? But that was, by all accounts, that's been the situation for the last few weeks of Raw, that we're going to see some kind of script being ripped up by Vince McMahon. They've written it for weeks, for the week, and then he shows up and decides, it's a load of crap. It makes me wonder what we were going to see. Because what we see on Monday Night Raw, in fairness, over the last few weeks has been okay, but it makes you wonder if Vince McMahon thinks what he is given is bad, what was actually written in the first place. But at this point, for me, it's almost a non-story because it happens every single week, and it makes you wonder, what are they doing? What are they doing, this creative team that's being overseen by Bruce Pritchard? I guess they're writing for Raw and SmackDown now, but what are they doing in the week? Because they have 7 days to come up with this show and come up with the segments and come up with the promos. What are they doing in the week that they do it all through the week and then it gets to Monday and Vince McMahon goes, this is crap? Why don't they give it to Vince McMahon the day before, right? I guess WWE just doesn't work like that anymore. There is no planning. And to hear the rumors that, they're on the air, broadcasting live on the USA Network, and the second and third hour hasn't even been written yet. This is a company and a show that's getting paid millions and millions of dollars by the USA Network and NBC Universal to put on a show that there's no planning in it. It's being written as they're on the air. How is that professionalism? And they're getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. It is crazy. It is crazy to hear that story every week. As I mentioned, it's not surprising because we hear it every single week, but every time you hear it, you just roll your eyes. $1 billion publicly traded company can't even get their shows right, that they have to rewrite them while they're on the air. And those inside WWE will compare this to like Saturday Night Live. They love to compare their shows to Saturday Night Live, right? We're live, so it's Saturday Night Live. And Saturday Night Live, though, I'm pretty sure by the time they're going on the air, they have their stuff written. And they have their walkthroughs, and they've gone through the things at dress rehearsals. They might have done last-minute rewrites, but they have a pretty good idea of what's going on. And a Saturday Night Live comedy program where they can read off cue cards is completely different to someone having to memorize a 3-page promo 5 minutes before they go live on the air to millions of people around the world. It's crazy. It's crazy when you hear that story, even though it isn't crazy because you hear it every week. Regardless, I'm sure we'll hear the same thing. Now, by the time this probably goes on, because this gets posted at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 2 hours before the show goes live on the air, I'm sure by that point we'd have had some form of announcement of some matches. But it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you wonder. Maybe at this point, they've just stopped announcing matches like on SmackDown. Because for a while they had a period of time where they would announce matches on SmackDown, and then they would have that match on Raw. The problem is they kept changing. It kept changing every time, right? Rey Mysterio last week was meant to face Seth Rollins. That match didn't happen. Obviously, that was because of the injury. Rey Mysterio has a triceps injury, so that is slightly different than the creative changing. But still, maybe they've just stopped doing that because they know it's going to change. Why advertise something when you know it's going to change anyway, right? Maybe they're doing that. But let's have a look at what happened last week on Raw and try and do some form of a preview as to what's going to happen tonight. Now, coming out of last week's edition of Monday Night Raw, we do know about the WWE Championship match at Clash of Champions. Randy Orton defeated Seth Rollins and Keithley in a triple threat match last week on Monday Night Raw to become the number one contender for Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship at Clash of Champions. So we know that match is happening. We're going to see some form of progression of that this week. I don't know if Drew McIntyre will return tonight. To me, it wouldn't feel right. What is 2 weeks ago that Randy Orton punted Drew McIntyre 3 times into the skull to send him to that dreaded local medical facility, and they're saying that he had a fractured skull. That's the storyline thing, or he had a broken jaw. That was the actual thing. It was initially they said he had a fractured skull, then they said he had a broken jaw, because let's be honest, if this was a shoot, if you had a fractured skull, you ain't competing for months, if ever again. So broken jaw is a little bit easier, more palatable when it comes to the actual logic of the storyline there. So I don't think we'll see Drew McIntyre. They're trying to build him up like the Super Cena kind of deal where he can recover from major injuries really quickly. I still don't think, though, that he'll show up tonight. I think he'll still sell the injury. He'll maybe return on the go-home show for Clash of Champions, or maybe the one before that, but tonight still feels a little bit too early for me. So I don't think we will see that. As far as what else could happen tonight, so we're going to see the progression of Randy Orton's chase for the WWE Championship. What about Keith Lee? Now, Keith Lee, his start on the main roster has certainly divided some people for over certain issues. On certain issues, it's unanimously been done very, very well. So Keith Lee, his victory over Randy Orton at Payback, very well done. Very well done. It was a very short match. I think it lasted like 6 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that. It wasn't long at all. And the match itself, to be honest, between Keith Lee and Randy Orton wasn't that much to write home about. Now, obviously, how much can you do in 6 and 8 minutes to really have a spectacular match? But it wasn't about that, of course. It was about the big victory for Keith Lee, his first pay-per-view match on the main roster, defeating, was it a 13-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion, clean, in the middle of the ring. A great moment for him and a great introduction for him. Obviously, some people would have wanted Keith Lee to win last week in that triple threat match between Randy Orton, Keith Lee, and Seth Rollins to become the number one contender for the WWE Championship. I still think we are going to see Keith Lee in a WWE Championship match very soon. In my opinion, and this is me just trying to read the tea leaves here, I think Randy Orton will beat Drew McIntyre at Clash of Champions. We've heard those reports by numerous sources that the plan at one point was to have Randy Orton versus Edge at WrestleMania next year. I Quit match for the WWE Championship. I don't know if that's still the plan. If Monday Night Raw is being ripped up an hour before they go on the air, WrestleMania is going to be probably being ripped up every 5 minutes. So is that still the plan? I don't know. But it would make you think that maybe Keith Lee defeated Randy Orton because they're going to go back to that at some point down the line. Right, you've already got the out for Drew McIntyre losing the WWE Championship at Clash of Champions. He's got the broken jaw. He's injured. This means that if Randy Orton beats him, he hasn't really beaten him because he's beaten an injured Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre's protected there. Support for Wrestle News 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes, so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favourite features about the lawnmower, is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testies their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. Then the feud you can have is Randy Orton versus Keithley. Keithley can say, well, you're the WWE champion, but I beat the WWE champion in about 6 minutes only a couple of months ago at Payback. So I think maybe that's where they're going to go, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. I think that's the likely scenario here. I think so. Maybe Keithley tonight on Monday Night Raw, what does he do? Does he continue this feud of Randy Orton? Does he get involved with this feud of Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre? Well, it does give Randy Orton something to do heading into Clash of Champions, but I guess the concern is, where does this leave Keithley when it comes to Clash of Champions? I don't think this early into his main roster run should he just be the TV feud for Randy Orton, and then once Drew McIntyre returns, Keithley's on the sidelines? I don't know, but at this point, who else does Keithley feud with? Keithley had the match won last week on Monday Night Raw. He spirit bombed Seth Rollins, and then Randy Orton came in, RKO to Keithley. Keithley rolls out, Randy Orton pins Seth Rollins. So perhaps, potentially, we could see a Keithley-Seth Rollins feud. That seems that's got potential, although I think at this point, Seth Rollins is going to feud with his disciple Murphy. That's definitely something they've been teasing the last few weeks, and maybe we have Seth Rollins versus Murphy as we go into Clash of Champions. So as far as Keithley, maybe he feuds with Seth Rollins. I'd like to see that, and I'd like to see Seth Rollins put Keithley over. Wouldn't have a problem with that at all. Maybe Keithley continues to feud with Randy Orton. I wouldn't mind that, but Randy Orton has to be booked strong going into Clash of Champions, because I do think he'll win the WWE Championship at that point. And should Keithley be a TV feud for anyone this early on? I don't know. I'm not sure. So again, that's an interesting thing to look at. So what else? What about the United States Championship, right? Bobby Lashley defeated Apollo Crews at Payback. Apollo Crews was all about getting that United States Championship back. So WWE, I'm sure they love a rematch, so I'm sure we'll get a Apollo Crews versus Bobby Lashley rematch at Clash of Champions. I'd like to see them have the actual United States title match in Raw Underground. Apollo Crews did have a match in Raw Underground last week, so I'd like to see that. I like the Hurt Business being involved in Raw Underground. For me, that they've been my most enjoyable and most favourite Raw Underground moments have been when the Hurt Business have been involved in that. To be honest, I'd remove Shane McMahon from the equation for Raw Underground. At this point, Shane McMahon introducing Raw Underground was fun, but I think at this point there's no need to have Shane McMahon be involved in Raw Underground anymore. If you're going to have a host for Raw Underground, make it the Hurt Business. Whenever MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin are involved in Raw Underground, to me, that's when it feels cool. That's when it feels unique and different. I don't think Shane McMahon needs to be involved in it. I don't want at this point to hear Shane McMahon's weird commentary over it, and I certainly don't need to see him hugging Peyton Royce awkwardly like they had last week on Raw Underground. So I'd like to see the Hurt Business get more involved in Raw Underground, have them host it, have it there. MVP likes to host a VIP lounge, right? Why don't you merge them together? The VIP lounge is suddenly Raw Underground. Have that kind of gritty feel there. Give the Hurt Business their own segment, their own venue. I think that's the way to go for that. So maybe we'll see more progression in this Bobby Lashley Apollo Crews feud. I think we'll have the rematch at Clash of Champions. It's funny because WWE, was it in 2019, announced there's going to be no more rematch clauses because it became a crutch for them. The crutch was rather that every time a champion lost, straight away rematch clause either on Raw, so it meant you have the pay-per-view match on Raw, so immediately like, well, why did I bother watching the pay-per-view then? And you can't do this match against Salah on a pay-per-view because you've done it on TV. Or it was just a way that they couldn't think of something creatively, so at the next pay-per-view, even though you'd just seen the match at the pay-per-view, the next pay-per-view, like, oh, they're going to have the rematch. And it's kind of like, oh, we've already seen it. You've done it before. So last year, they tried, in credit to them, fairness to them, they tried to say, we're not going to have any more rematch clauses. Rematch clauses are a thing of the past, and I think everyone went, great, you can actually use a creative bone in your body at this point. And even though rematch clauses no longer exist, we still see a lot of rematches, which is interesting. They still do pretty much a rematch every Monday night on Raw after a pay-per-view, or a rematch at the following pay-per-view. You know, Randy Orton, he faced Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, and wouldn't you know it, there is a rematch at Clash of Champions. Amazing. And I know the idea is that he legitimately earned his way into that match by winning the triple threat match last week on Raw. But again, it's a rematch, and WWE loves their rematches. So what else on Monday Night Raw tonight? Well, we've got to find out, I guess, at some point who's the next challenger for the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka's Raw Women's Championship. The way that it's been booked on TV recently looks like it could be Mickie James or Natalya. The whole Natalya-Lana partnership and pairing, I didn't actually have a problem with. I said previously that I think if we had a crowd right now, they'd be absolutely booed out the building because everyone hates Lana as an audience. I think maybe even Vince McMahon too, with her Instagram ads. But also as well, everyone would be booing Natalya because Natalya's been in WWE for however long. You can't discredit her work in the ring because her work in the ring is very good. She's solid. She's a veteran. She's done a lot in WWE. However, she is more wooden than an oak tree when it comes to acting. Oh my word. I mean, this desk is more wooden than her. Honestly, it's sometimes her promos are just so wooden. So I don't have any desire to see Asuka versus Natalya at Clash of Champions, but I do have a desire to see Asuka versus Mickie James. I think everyone was excited to see Mickie James return to WWE on Monday Night Raw a couple of weeks ago, last month, and it was booked horribly. She lost by countout, which was just the worst return ever. Mickie James wasn't happy with it. Social media wasn't happy with it. Her husband, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Nick Aldis, wasn't happy about it. And you had the rumours, this Bruce Pritchard's way of sticking Nick Aldis because they have heat from their time in Impact and they've traded shots on podcasts and interviews and all of that stuff. But hopefully we see Asuka versus Mickie James. And a lot of people have been saying on social media, and I agree with this, why do WWE treat their female legends a certain way and their male legends another way? Mickie James, at this point, we have to cherish that she's still performing in the ring most weeks on WWE television, or she's just returned. She's a legend. She's a legend in the WWE. She's a legend in professional wrestling. Treat her as a legend. Building up an Asuka versus Mickie James match at Clash of Champions could be a massive, massive match. Clash of generations. Past versus present. Passing the torch to the new champion. They could do so much there. So I think that would be a fantastic feud for them to do. But you also have to factor in Peyton Royce, right? Last week, the Iconics split up. I don't think anyone wanted to see the Iconics split up last week, and it was randomly announced just during the opening match. A little graphic came up in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen saying, tonight it's the Iconics versus the Riot Squad. The winner gets a future WWE Women's Tag Team Championship opportunity. The loser splits up. And everyone went, whoa, where did that come from? Came from absolutely nowhere. And the Riot Squad won. So the Iconics had to split up. And I think a lot of people, again, didn't want to see it happening. But I think as soon as the match was announced, everyone kind of went, it's going to be the Iconics. because the reports were, and the reports have been like this for a few weeks now, Vince McMahon is very high on Peyton Royce, thinks she's going to be a lot of money as a single star. We'll have to wait on seeing that. I was a big fan of the Iconics. I was a big fan of their promo work, their comedy. I think at a time in which the depth in the tag team division, the female tag team division in WWE is so low, they're splitting up tag teams left, right, and center. They're splitting up the Iconics. They're splitting up Sasha Banks and Bayley. And the Sasha Banks and Bayley split did need to happen, but the Iconics one really didn't. So at a time which you need more female tag teams, you're splitting them up. I don't know. But maybe we'll see Peyton Royce versus Asuka at Clash of Champions. I don't think so. I think she needs to be built up a bit more first before she can be seen as a credible challenger for a major singles title in the female division. I'd like to see Asuka versus Mickie James instead, but I'm sure we'll see more of Peyton Royce this week. Now, I mentioned about the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships too. It looks to me, after the victory last week, that we're going to have Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott as the next challengers for Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. If you know any of my work or you've watched any of the videos on this channel, you know I'm not a big fan of when tag teams are two singles people put together and then they immediately win the tag team titles. I'd rather not. I'd rather they actually have a proper tag team. However, I must say that the Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler partnership has led to quite a few good matches so far. The match at Payback was one of the better matches on the show. Really enjoyed the Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler versus Banks and Bayley match at Payback. Thought it was really well done. Really enjoyed the finish, obviously. The way that they've been booking Shayna Baszler recently is a lot better than what they had been doing in the past, so I'm all for that. And then I thought the rematch on SmackDown between Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and Bayley and Banks, again, very, very good. So it looks like Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler do have some form of chemistry. I think the matches have been good, and I'm just glad at this point to see Shayna Baszler actually doing something of purpose every week on television. And the more Shayna Baszler on Raw, SmackDown, and I'd like to see her go back to NXT too. Obviously, she's got a huge history of NXT. I'd like to see that, so hopefully we'll see more Shayna Baszler, but it looks like we're going to have Jax and Baszler versus the Riot Squad either on Raw at some point or at Clash of Champions. So what else do we have to focus on for Monday Night Raw tonight? Of course, Retribution. Retribution last week, they attacked the Street Profits, Andrade, Angel Garza, Zelina Vega during that match. Reports have come out since that Retribution are now going to be exclusive to Monday Night Raw. So apparently they've just decided not to smash up SmackDown anymore. They've decided that enough's enough. It's too much work. It's too much. It's very difficult to be Vandals for two shows. You should be brand exclusive Vandals. So Retribution are going to be on Monday Night Raw. It looks to me like they finally decided on the lineup for Retribution. We saw the likes of Mia Yim involved. Obviously, Dominic Dijakovic, Dio Madden, I think was it Chelsea Green and Vanessa Bourne might be in there as well. So it is a mixture of male and females, which is good to see. I wonder what is the end game or the end goal for this, though, because when they get revealed, their identities get revealed, are they going to have a leader? What's the situation there? That's my only concern is they feel like a faction that was brought in to kind of shake things up a bit and get people watching. We're going to have this chaotic faction. And they haven't felt very chaotic. They haven't felt very threatening. The lineup obviously has changed a couple of times because they didn't know who was going to be in there, or they didn't have the time to get the people over from NXT to shoot these Raw and SmackDown tapings when they were in the Performance Center, shooting them in bulk. So I don't know where the end game is for this one. They were attacking Rey and Dominic Mysterio a couple of weeks on Raw, and this week, or this last week rather, they were attacking the Street Profits and Andrade and Garza and things like that. So I don't know. And this resulted in Angel Garza ditching Demi Burnett, the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, Demi Burnett. Who the hell is she? I mean, as someone who doesn't watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, I don't care. I don't care. I guess this is some form of cross-promotion, and they're trying to get some... Would this even have some crossover? I don't know, because I don't watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but would people watching The Bachelor or The Bachelorette go, oh, Demi Burnett, she's on Monday Night Raw? I wouldn't usually watch it, but I'm a big Burnett fan, so I'm going to watch Monday Night Raw. No, she's got so much TV time over the last few weeks. If it wasn't for Shayna Baszler winning the tag team title, she's getting more TV time than her. So I don't know. You get people like Ricochet and Cedric Alexander struggle to get on TV. This past week you had Mustafa Ali and was it Ricochet on Main Event? Demi Burnett, she's a fixture of Monday Night Raw every week. Can you believe it? So it's staggering. Now, we mentioned Raw Underground earlier. Last week saw Riddick Moss and the four horsewomen of MMA, Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir, get involved. They attacked Billie Kay after Peyton Royce threw her to the wolves last week, so I'm sure we'll see more of Riddick Moss and Jessamine Duke and Maria Shafir this week. And finally, also as well, what's going to happen in this feud between Alistair Black and Kevin Owens. Of course, Alistair Black turned heel a couple of weeks ago on the KO show, hitting Kevin Owens with the Black Mass. Last week, Kevin Owens was going to face Randy Orton, with the winner getting into that triple threat match main event, with the winner facing Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at Clash of Champions. But Alistair Black attacked Kevin Owens, hit him with the Black Mass. Really frustrated me that suddenly, it was like watching All Out at the weekend. Kevin Owens said to the referee he was fine, so the referee cleared him, and Randy Orton went with the RKO. Really annoyed me, that, because I was going to say, and I said this at the time, would that ever happen in MMA? If you said, oh yeah, I'm fine, the referee would be like, no, it's the doctor's decision. But apparently in pro wrestling, that legitimately is the case, because just ask Matt Hardy and Tony Khan at All Out. Very interesting. But I'm excited for this Alistair Black-Kevin Owens feud. The match, whenever it happens, I'm assuming at Clash of Champions, will be very, very good. This one-eyed, heel, evil Alistair Black is a lot of fun. At least it's given Alistair Black something to do. We've heard those reports that Vince McMahon doesn't know what to do with Alistair Black, or I just don't know what to do with him. He's missing something, which is the kiss of death when it comes to Vince McMahon and WWE, because look at Cesaro. He has been just missing something. I'm using my fingers as inverted quotation marks there for however many years. So that is the kiss of death, isn't it? So at least this gets Alistair Black involved as a heel. Alistair Black, look, he's a tremendous, tremendous wrestler. He's a huge star and can be anything in WWE. In my opinion, I thought he was going to be the next version of The Undertaker or something like that. And like with a lot of things that get called up from NXT to the main roster, he's been absolutely butchered on the main roster so far. But getting involved in a feud with Kevin Owens is a good thing, so hopefully we'll see more of that. And finally, what about Dominic Mysterio? His father, Rey Mysterio, is out of action for a while now. Torn triceps, the same as Edge, could be out for 8 to 9 months. Given Rey Mysterio's age as well, it's not looking good. He's just signed a new contract, I think, and now he's on the shelf. I bet WWE are furious. Talk about timing. But Dominic Mysterio shouldn't go away just because his father's gone away. So what happens with Dominic Mysterio now? I'm assuming if Seth Rollins is going to be working with either Keithley or Murphy in a feud, Dominic Mysterio's got to be working with someone else. So where does he feature in? What happens with him? I'm very interested to see what happens with Dominic Mysterio. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure who is he going to work with, but let me know your thoughts. Who do you think Dominic Mysterio is going to be working with on Monday Night Raw? What are you looking forward to tonight on Monday Night Raw? Let me know your predictions, your previews in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys on this channel. If you've enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really just help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos before. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch on the way to 800 subscribers on that long road to 1,000 subscribers. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are on the screen right now. The links are in the description box below. It's at 365 Wrestle on Twitter and Instagram, and at Wrestle News 365 on Facebook. So be sure to give us a like or a follow there if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.